Lofi Poli Sci, how we doing out there? Dr. P right here, talking our famous question, what's going on in the world today? And heads up, connect on YouTube, Instagram, people. You know where we are. Now straight to it, to that Lo-Fi Global Press for you. Out in Thailand, long have we talked about their fight for democracy after the 2014 military coup? After the Supreme Commander turned into the Prime Minister? After elections returned, and they were a sham? After the pro-democracy three-finger salutes spread like wildfire in protest? Then COVID was used to shut the door. But finally, some semblance of democracy has returned. But the new powers in Thailand, who came to power to overthrow the past and move to the future? Well, that Move Forward Party has stopped moving forward. You see, the Move Forward Party came to power in the most recent elections because they had huge support, at least in part two, campaigning on getting rid of lèse-majesté laws in Thailand, which can get someone up to 15 years in prison for talking about the monarchy, talking bad about the monarchy. And yes, I'm serious. Royal defamation in Thailand can get you 15 years. The Move Forward Party was trying to move past that law, arcane as it be. But the country's constitutional court said that it was unconstitutional to try and do that, and that lèse-majestés, or royal defamation laws, it's safeguarded, it's guaranteed in the Constitution. Period. Monarchies, or like we like to call them, bloodlines and bullshit. Now out to Morocco, where the government is trying to stop some horrible happenings in the world today. The government has just arrested around 30 people in an illicit human trafficking ring that specialized in trafficking newborn babies for adoptions. Yep, this is real, people. Human trafficking is real, and the trafficking of newborn babies, that's real as can be. You know, all too often we say that Hollywood doesn't have to make things up. They just have to pay attention to the news and to what's going on around the world. But this time, we get a bit of good news, and well done to those who are helping stopping the trafficking of newborns. Now let's head on over to Pakistan, who has parliamentary elections this week, and with them, a new prime minister perhaps will be chosen afterward, since their last prime minister was removed from office and was tried and is being tried and will be tried for a series of different things. We're talking about former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who's been sentenced to years in prison for leaking classified documents, years in prison for selling states' gifts, and just this past week, 7 more years for illegally marrying his wife. I'm losing count, but I think after 3 convictions, the former prime minister has been sentenced so far to, 10 plus 14 plus now 7, 31 years plus fines? One of the most popular politicians in recent Pakistani history gets taken out of office, and then the week before new elections are had, he is rushed convictions and sentences to up to 31 years in prison and can't run for office again. 31 years. And elections this week. Eyes open, ears to the ground on Pakistan, people. Now moving forward, because we never move on from anything. To Panama we go, where former President Ricardo Martinelli, who was officially convicted on money laundering charges, has formally been announced as the nominated president candidate of the Realizing Goals Party. Because we don't know. But he is running for president again. What we do know is patterns. What we do know is trends. What we do know are what the data tell us. And the data say lots of people running for presidents and prime ministers these days. And lots of those people, they either look like or they are criminals. And lots of other leaders are being removed from power Because they look like, or they are, criminals. And what the data are telling us is that democracy is a fragile thing indeed. And the last piece of something before we switch to our fab five of the day, El Salvador. Because somebody's got to say it. El Salvador's president, who implemented a nationwide state of emergency almost 2 years ago. Today, he's running for re-election. Like right now. Even though the Constitution explicitly states that a sitting president can't run again. And by the time you hear this, he may have already won. He may already be president again. Right in, people. You tell us what's going on in the world today. All right, check it. This week's Fab 5, we decided since there's so much ridiculous going on with presidential elections these days, why not give you 5 upcoming presidential elections this year that really don't matter? Or, that's right, 5 elections for presidents in different countries that don't mean a thing because either they're not real elections, or there's no democracy, or the elections themselves may very well not even happen. You'll see what we mean. Number 1 is Russia in March of this year. Everyone knows Vlad the Impaler Putin, who is going to win. He's not even running in the political party he created, United Russia. He's running as an independent because he doesn't need political parties anymore. He's just a dictator. Simple as that. Number 2, Rwanda presidential elections in July. Okay. Since the horrible genocide of 1994, a man by the name of Paul Kagame was vice president from 1994 to 2000, and then becomes president in 2000, and it's 2024, and he's still president. He's been at the top of power in Rwanda for the past 30 years, and it's not likely that he's going anywhere. Number 3, Burkina Faso in December. This country is ruled by a military junta. They had 2 recent military coups. They had a coup de coup. There is no guarantee nor promise that presidential elections are going to happen anywhere near December of this year. But it's on the calendar. Number 4, Chad, in December of this year as well. And this is, again, another military junta. And their former president died. And his son came to power after a military coup took place. And even if there is an election in December, which there's a lot of doubt that there will be, but if there is, it's likely his son, who's in power now, will stay in power. Number 5, Venezuela this December. Opposition was allowed and then suspended again, and sanctions were lifted but then put back in place. And there's no way the hand-picked successor of Hugo Chavez is giving up power. Elections will come and go, and Maduro will stay president of Venezuela. And there you have it, 5 presidential elections this year that don't mean anything because either democracy has left the building or elections may not even happen. Russia, Rwanda, Burkina Faso, Chad, and Venezuela. Now, there are some legislative and parliamentary elections taking shape too pretty soon, that probably don't mean that much at all anyway. It's a matter of degrees, though. But, you could also throw in Azerbaijan in there, you could maybe throw in Pakistan in there, Belarus, and quite a few others. But our Fab 5 today, they're the ones that take the cake. Now, switching gears to that lo-fi global trivia. No, we got to get our trivia on. We got 5 questions coming at you. Let's dig it. Number 1. Which Asian country has the only non-rectangular flag in the world? So telling you an Asian country is a little bit of a hint. But what country has the only non-rectangular flag in the world? Number 2. Whose face is found on most Indian rupee notes? Whose face is found on most Indian rupee notes? Question number 3. Which famous business in the city of Dublin only pays a fixed £45 a year rent after they signed a 9,000-year lease on their premise in 1759? All right, let me give you that one again because that was a pretty big one. What famous business in Dublin only pays £45 a year for rent because they signed a 9,000-year lease back in 1755 or 1759? Give me that one. It's out in Dublin, Ireland. See if you get that one. Number 4. What is the national animal of Canada. Mm-hmm. How many of you know that one? Our neighbors to the north, they got a lot going on. What's their national animal? Number five. What is the world's largest desert? What is the world's largest desert? And connect to us, people, YouTube, Instagram. We're waiting. Love you, Lofi. And this, just a snap of what's going on in the world today.
I'll bring it down, man, like.
Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Pickering, signing off.